Hello. Hello. Anyone around here speak basketball?
Taking Bobby Webster.
This is Adam Silver.
Vision 6-9. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks
Basketball Podcast.
I am your host, Freddie Rivas, and who, sir, in the very ski-doo busy shirt are you?
Current producer Matt Duncan. Yep, that's me. I just came from a Sea-Doo rally in Lake Simcoe, and I'm a little sunburnt and buzzed, and let's go.
Nice. I'm glad you threw in the word rally. Now people are wondering if you're like anti-vax or that sort of thing.
Yeah, there are a few of those people around, so
Sure. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure Wake Stock's full of them. If you are coming to this podcast for the first time, we are with Raptors Republic. We are a Raptors / NBA pod. We'll be starting with some NBA stuff since it's the off season. And thanks for joining. I think we'll bring in some goddamn guests.
Yeah.
Let's all pick our best contract, like our highest value non-rookie contract. And then if you want to say anything about Jaylen Brown's contract.
I think the Jaylen Brown contract, like in isolation, when you look at that number, it's like ooga, but it's the way the league is going, and with the TV rights up for negotiation every few years now, as opposed to that long stretch where they were not up for grabs. I talk about this a lot, but the sports is the last appointment viewing that anyone cares about. So the value it has for advertisers is absolutely wild. Even if there's a potential dip in growth of fandom for the NBA, which I'm not sure there is, it feels like it just gets more and more popular. It's just such a valuable place for people outside of the NBA to put their money into to sell things. And the NBA is cashing in and doing well. And, the cap is just it's supposed to go up by like 10% every year for the next 10 years. You think these numbers are crazy. There's going to be some Saudi numbers within the decade, I think. And, if the NBA is making that much money, it should go to the players. I really think even biggest contract ever as a phrase, it was usually given to the best players when it wasn't the cap wasn't skyrocketing. But now it feels like there's going to be a new highest contract ever every summer. So kudos for Jaylen for just timing out his contract. Totally. It just worked out well for him. Shall I launch into a couple of my best contracts?
Yeah, okay. Let's hear your best value contracts.
Okay, I'm going to start with some homerism. I got three. Tell me if that's too many. My homerism has got to be OG Anunoby. It's only 1 year left, so you're looking at an extension or a new contract. But in hindsight, and then looking forward, just including this upcoming year, man, is that a high-value contract for an all-NBA defender who absolutely has the potential at any given year to take a leap into being the defensive player of the year. And, if the offense really works out, maybe an all-star. I feel like that is a crazy high-value contract. Another contract that's super high value that I think will also, it's going to be short-lived is Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges' contract with Brooklyn
it's so funny.
It's so good. It's for what he's bringing to the team and what he's projected to do with the keys in his hand. I mean, you can't.
How many years does he have?
He has a couple left. I had it here. 1 second.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
He's got 2 left, I think. 24.
He's got 2 left. 2 left at 23 and 24, or 3. So 21, 23, and 24 for 3 years.
Wow. Yeah.
That is low 20s for, your number one scorer, I think is pretty incredible. We have to see what Brooklyn actually does, but they had, some nice stretches last year, and they could definitely, in a weakened East, put it together and had their top guys making 23.
If he cracks an all-star in that contract, it's just a smash.
That's a smash home run, to use baseball terms to talk about basketball. The other one, here's my out there pick. I feel like maybe those two are a bit obvious, but my other high value contract is Keldon Johnson on the Spurs. He's making
I like that.
his contract goes down in the last 2 years. He's
20
got
mil.
he's got 4 years left. And the last year he's making 17. 17 for Keldon Johnson, who scored 22 points a game last year.
Yeah,
now,
I like
of
that.
course, Wembanyama's coming in and is going to suck up a lot of air. But as Freddie and me have discussed offline before, it's probable that Wembanyama's impact is more felt on the defensive end right away, and he'll be happy to let someone else take the scoring lead. So for someone making under 20 mil to give you over 20 points a game for 4 more years, I mean, I think that's just a crazy high value contract.
Love it. Those are all great picks.
like
Bridges, I sort of somehow overlooked. I think is definitely better than my answer. But because I just didn't realize it was 3 years at that rate. Yeah. What about you, Stolfi?
Well, first of all, with the $300 million contract for Jaylen Brown, I mean, I think it's easy to be like, man, that's crazy. But I kind of do think that it is for a Jaylen Brown player. But I hear what you're saying, Miguel. Like, that's going to be the new norm. But I think we were saying this also like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that these kind of contracts, when they renegotiated the TV deal, they were like, this is going to be the new norm. This is what's happening. I didn't see this coming. I didn't know that this was the kind of money that was coming through. I was watching this interview with Austin Rivers, though, and he was saying, like, look, this is mid-level guys getting like $300 million. I know Jaylen Brown, he's a top, he's a second best, player on Boston, and like, he's all NBA, all this other stuff. But is that money going to trickle down to those other players, or is this all just going to go to the top guy on the team, and everybody's just throwing so much money at one guy, two guys? Because now Jason Tatum, he's going to come in even more when he resigns and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's good, obviously, for the NBA, but then you wonder too, like, okay, 5 years, Jaylen Brown's locked up, he's loaded. Is he going to play as hard as Jaylen Brown? He's going to play. Like, these guys making that kind of money. And I mean, I'm not saying they don't deserve it. I mean, if the money's there, obviously, take it. And
you want the billionaires to have it.
Well, no, I don't, obviously, but it's just like, is that same competitiveness and all that kind of stuff gonna be there? And will it trickle down to the other players too, or is everybody going to be signing these like $10 million deals, and then there's like 1 or 2 guys on the team who's just like, taking all the money to potentially just sit on the bench and relax? I think
what you're also saying is that the $500,000 or $1 million prize for the Commissioner's Cup holds a lot of weight. $60 million a year, so they're gonna. Totally. Commissioner's Cup is WNBA, but that cash incentive is really gonna matter for these guys. Yeah,
exactly. I don't. Well, maybe for those lower level guys for sure. But anyway, So that's what I'll say about that. We'll see what other contracts come through and how it all plays out. But as far as, I mean, I think Miguel, you took the good contracts that I was thinking too. I don't really have anything much to add to that one. Did we mention Zion Williamson on a bad deal?
I don't think we got to that.
No, but
we haven't gotten to that.
Yeah, okay. I think that's interesting. If you want to, if you didn't have any good ones, we could jump to bad, because I think, let's open up the Zion conversation.
Yeah, because I don't really have any like great ones. I mean, which one was I thinking aside from what Miguel said? Jalen Brunson. I like him. He still has 2 years left, and he's $24 million. I mean, this guy is out of control, playing really, really well. So I think, they still have him on, I think, 2 years. So at 24, which, I mean, he's going to be owed a lot of money later on.
I'll throw you another good one if you want. I mean, sure. I'm sure you had another one, but
sure. I got a couple, but I'm just going to say that I think with where the money's at, if you're an all-star and you're making less than $30 million, it's a really good contract.
Yeah.
The only other one I was going to say that's really good is Colin Sexton. I know he had a down year. He had a down year last year, kind of.
Thinking that too.
The trade, acclimatizing to the literal climate of Utah. But if he turns it around and gets back on the trajectory that I think most people expect from him, he's making $18 a year for like 4 years. That's crazy. That's a super high value contract if he delivers.
Yeah, I was gonna say like my good contract, Lowry Markkinen, similar Utah, is making less than $20 million and looks like he's gonna be an all-star for the remainder of that contract.
Yeah, that's really good.
But let's talk Zion, Stolfi.
I mean,
oh boy, Zion's contract. Oh boy.
I mean, it's bad, man. I mean, he's owed $36 million this season, then 38, 41, 44. So I mean, he's owed 194 guaranteed over the next 4 seasons. Over those 5 seasons. I mean, it's a lot for a guy who just hasn't played more than what? I don't know. How many games has he played? 40 games or something like that?
He's played something like less than a quarter of his eligible games as an NBA player.
Yeah. That breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any indication that this guy's going to be healthy to even make it through a season, right? I mean, if he plays, the guy's unreal. Like the numbers he puts up are ridiculous.
When he had a 20-game stretch last year, I guess it was in November, December he was playing, and you were like, this guy's incredible. This is a top 10 player in the NBA immediately.
Totally.
But can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
Is there any others that pop out to you that are bad?
Well, I mean, I don't like Ben Simmons, but I mean, he's only got 1 year left on this one.
That contract nightmare is almost over. My big bad one, and I feel like there's still lots of time sort of for him to play into it, but it definitely did seem, reactionary at the time. Is Jordan Poole. I think he's someone who, obviously had a huge run. But I think most people would say he's 23, right? So I'm always loath to sort of like count players out before 25, 26. But I think it just doesn't really seem like he's headed towards being, an all-star and is paid like for sure all-star money. I had him here 1 second. It was he's starting at 20. Oh, here we go. So it's 28, 30, 33, 35.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever. Washington, he'll have all the shots he can handle there. So maybe it is sort of like, I don't know, if there was like he needed the ball more to be effective, we'll figure that out quick.
Washington is a cursed franchise. It feels like no one can truly succeed there. I don't know why. I don't even have a suggestion as to why. It just feels like a place where people go to not succeed.
I'd also go with DeAndre Hunter. I mean, I don't know if you saw that contract. I mean, it's not like a crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of money though. Yeah,
it's a lot of money for DeAndre. Like I mean, I think he is the epitome of that kind of like, role player guy on a team that's, he's not off the charts, but he signed a good deal for himself, when he did. So,
another guy I had was Kevin Porter Jr., real young player as well. But I think like the previous king of like big money, not all-star, is CJ McCollum, right? He's still got 3 years on his contract. He might like make more money than anyone that's never made an all-star.
But Mike Conley was running that game for a while too, right?
He was, but Mike Conley was always like a snub. He was right on the fringes of making it. I got 2 contracts here that are more controversial, maybe, for bad contracts. Sure.
So this is maybe not a bad contract anymore because there's only this upcoming season left. So maybe it's a trade chip for people who want to get rid of cash. But Tobias Harris making just about 40 mil a year feels like a joke. He does not contribute at that level in any capacity. Even in this climate, he's probably worth 18 now, maybe 20. And so a few years of contract at that scale was pretty high. And since we all just agree there, I'll jump to the next one, which is this. Maybe this is controversial. Maybe it's not. Rudy Gobert's contract.
Because
that's
definitely
he's poised to make in his last year like 46. So he's got 41, 43, and 46 still. And I don't know. I love big men. That's like that's what I used to play. It's what I still love to play style wise, even though I'm not actually a big man. But I play pickup with you guys on Tuesday. And it's like, he just doesn't contribute to winning in the way that you would want. He's obviously so skilled and he's amazing at defense. And maybe there's another gear he can hit, although it seems unlikely at this stage in his career. The idea that 3 years from now you're going to be paying him $46 million, he's right up there in the top tier of the top paid NBA players. And how many playoff series wins has he like fully contributed to? None.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, yeah,
Seems like a bad contract to me.
yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
a good contract that I wanted to mention as well was Marcus Smart. He's got like 17, 18, and then 21. So you have Marcus Smart for 3 years. And, you know, he's not making as much money as like, you know, potentially like a Gary Trent, right? So
yeah. And to think about what Marcus Smart brings to his team versus what Gary Trent brings to the Raptors, it's not even a close comparison. Not yet, anyways.
yeah, sort of a stray there for Gary. Sorry, Gary.
I got another good one here.
Sure.
Wendell Carter Jr. on Orlando. I mean,
Where's he
it's
at?
like
How much is he
he's so 13 million, and then 11, and then 10. It goes down.
Wow, 10 million for anyone is crazy.
Yeah, and he's good, man. Wendell Carter's on Orlando, and he played, you know, really well for them. So that's a bit of a steal, I think. But,
I like it.
and I'll disagree on the Kevin Porter Jr. I think that I like him. I like him a lot, and I think he's going to play better than what he's worth in the next like season or the season after.
Where does he rank on the Porter Jr. rankings? Because there's enough people named Porter Jr. in this league that you can have a scale of what kind of Porter Jr. are you?
I feel like he's the second Porter Jr.
Above Otto.
He's got to be above Otto.
He's above Otto. But I think Michael Porter Jr. I don't know. Yeah.
Michael Porter Jr. just signed a nice big contract, but you know he's a glue player on an incredible championship.
That's it. That's right.
Let's do our last question here, which I guess just is a major downturn, but I'll put it simply, and you can start, Stove. You know, you're a day one Raptors fan. Is this the most divisive Raptors fans have ever been? Like, is this period the most divisive time? Or, you know, maybe there's some context. Maybe it's like, no, it was more divisive blank time. And I guess also why, you know?
I mean, there was a lot of divisiveness during the Vince Carter times. I remember it being very like, but mostly it was him that was making it.
Yeah, it was like anger at him.
Yeah.
Right? And then sort of like we were riding his highs and lows. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then we got an awful deal there, and it was just bitterness with the whole organization and this, that, the other. But this is I think divisiveness on like what team do we have and what direction are we going, I think it's pretty big, especially coming from this championship, you know, caliber team. And then now we're back to this kind of holding pattern. It almost feels like we're not quite a rebuild, but you know, we're not going forward either. So it's like, what are we doing? And in Masai, do we still trust? And like, people are really, you know, talking about that kind of stuff, right? Like, is this guy as good as we thought he was, or did he just get lucky a couple times, right? I remember watching an interview with him back in the day. It was on George Strombo, and it was when he made the deal to trade Rudy Gay. Okay. And then it was DeMar, and the Raptors were struggling. And then it was like he was going to do a full rebuild, right? Mm-hmm. So he got rid of Rudy, and he was going to move DeRozan. He was going to, but the team started winning, and he was like, and Kyle Lowry, and he was like, well, sometimes you make a move and it works out not the way that you were expecting. And the Kawhi deal too. I mean, you know, that was a moment that just worked out timing wise. So you start to think and you go, is Masai as, you know, is he the guy? Like, have we given him too much rope, and I think that's dividing a lot of fans. I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm not saying yay or nay. I love Masai. I think he's done so many great things for this Raptors organization, and I still trust in his vision, his process. But it's like I think that's starting to really wear on this fan base. Like, what are we doing? What are we?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really, really good point, and it's good you started with the Vince stuff, right? Because I think Raptors fans have all, generally been a united fan base, right? They're sort of like the adoration for Vince, the frustration with Vince, even sort of like most of the miserable times for the Raptors. It's like, oh God, Joey Graham, oh Bargnani, we're this joke. The U.S. doesn't like us, blah blah blah. I think I would say sort of if there's anything that rivals it, it's kind of like the deep frustration at the Casey, Lowry, DeRozan Raptors, and not believing in Masai then, and then that turning into the championship. So you had the fans, beginning of fans who are like patient, and fans who are sort of like, I want to sort of rebuild and trade every year. But yeah, I think we're sort of gone back to a point similar to that, probably worse. But yeah, where are you at, Miguel? Do you think it kind of centers around Masai, or is it like there's the Scotty Fred stuff was a big part of that?
I was going to say, I think
right?
I think it was like the personnel element that we had last year, and like it was rumored around, and we kind of all felt it just by watching. There was one or two like visible on court kind of confrontations between your own players. And then now Fred, kind of freed from the Raptors chokehold where you can't say anything, has dropped more than a couple stories where he's just like, the subtext is constantly, I did not get along with Scotty Barnes. So it's like, and there's also reports that Nick Nurse was wanting to leave as soon as, the mid-season hit. So I think there's a distrust in like that unity that we saw from the players in the past. And the Raptors have that sort of, have the reputation of never leaking anything, and it kind of felt like they turned into a bit of a sieve and leaked a bunch of stuff last year and over the summer. So I do think there's a heavy amount of divisiveness, but I also think that there's not disdain yet. I think that there's a trigger finger kind of thing to blame Masai, but he hasn't really had that many down years. I mean, they all kind of pile up in the last 5 years, but he still has I think he still has the goodwill of everyone if he can pull something off. Like, I think this summer is a weird time because we don't know what's going to happen. If something still may happen that's enormous, that alters the trajectory of the fan base before the next season even starts. But I think if we roll through the next season with the exact roster we have now, it's going to get worse and worse and worse over the year unless they dramatically, for some reason, are much better, which seems unlikely. So I don't know. I don't know if divisive is the right time. I think this is I would say this is the most confused Raptors fans have ever been. And I think a big part of that is we always, as day one Raptors fans, we spent 20 years, 15 years being like, man, I wish more people liked the Raptors as much as we did. You would walk around the city, and if you saw someone with Raptors gear, it'd be like, hey, you're in the club. And now they're completely ubiquitous, right? The championship run and the years leading up to it opened up the tent, and we brought everybody in the city and the country in under this tent to be like, the Raptors is the best, the NBA is the best, join us. And they all did, but they don't know. They just don't know. And we don't have the answers that we used to. So I think there's a lot of just confusion swirling around. I don't know if people are quite so angry yet.
Yeah, I think also just to that, it's that because this league, the parity in this league is so crazy. Like Miami going to the finals, okay, that's just, and they were in eighth place, I think.
They weren't even eighth place. They were playing.
9, I think. Yeah, playing, right? So,
but they finished eighth.
They're
playing. Yeah,
that's a play. But like the Raptors finished 9th. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it and we had a 500 record. It's not. It's this weird thing because I think every team in the NBA looking at their team at the beginning of the season is going like, what are we doing? Unless you're, Boston, Milwaukee, and Denver and Golden State and whatever. But I think most fans of their team is like, is this the squad? Like, is this but they're all competitive. Like, anybody can do it, it seems. So it is an interesting time because you want to be hopeful and you want to be like, excited because it's kind of like anything can happen. But I think it's just like to not see any major changes except for losing Fred VanVleet, you know, getting Dennis Schroeder. It's just sort of like a, you know,
It's
is that, yeah. It's a bit,
yeah, and you know, I think it's sort of it does really center around Masai, right? Because I was just sort of glancing through it, and you know, since he joined in I think May 2013, the Raptors have had one losing season out of 11.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
But I think that you know, the sort of like the narrative of the like the middling Atlanta Hawks, or you know, being trapped in a middle space is really that kind of nuance is tough for like the not just a casual fan. I think if anyone wants direction, if you're like, okay, so your team's gonna like, you know, completely suck, and then there's this idea that like, okay, well, if you suck and you acquire all these picks, then the way to the top is completely linear. You get better every year and you eventually win a championship.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's definitely my opinion. And, you know, I think you'll always have the Spurs who are like, yeah, we tank every 20 years and then we're good for 20 years, which is like, okay, cool. The Spurs are weird and they're really their own thing. And I don't think, you know, there's a lot of other teams that have been able to do that. But, yeah, at the same time, I think Masai's tenure has been long. So you can make a list of like his 10 best moves, and you know, a list of his 10 best or 10 worst moves, right? Whether that's like, you know, even Fred VanVleet is an interesting sort of, I think that the narrative turn is interesting, right? Because it's sort of this last little bit, obviously there's some negative asset management, but if you look at Fred's arc of a career as a Raptor, it's just, you know, hit.
It's incredible.
We were talking about like, you know, contract values. He had an all-star year and was making like $22 or $21 million. And, you know, obviously was a part of the championship team, etc. But, you know, maybe Masai was at the gambling analogy. He was at the poker table too long. He didn't cash out his chips and get up from the table there. So yeah, you know, it's I think confusing is a good way to summarize what's happening now, and I'm sort of not sure that it's going to get less confusing, to be honest. You know, particularly with Pascal and OG and the way the season's being kind of like you know, set up. But I went on for a bit there. Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Happy to be here. Can't wait for Team Canada basketball. That's my main thought. I'm obsessed with Team Canada, and it just feels inevitable. It feels like a boulder rolling down a hill. You're not going to be able to stop Team Canada from becoming relevant.
Honestly, I think that would be a very great reprieve for confused Raptors fans. But let me bring Maddie back in here, and we'll do some plugging. Stolf, let me go to you first. What's up? What's going on? What do you want to let people know?
Oh, I just recorded a comedy album. My first one ever. It's
amazing.
My fifth like special, but I never really recorded anything in like a comedy album version. So I did that.
Incredible.
A few weeks ago, and it should be coming out in August, late August. Yeah, I'm excited about that. It's called I'm Doing My Very Best.
Awesome. So where do you know where you like where people are going to be able to find it?
Yeah, it's going to be on Bandcamp, but you're going to be able to get it on Spotify and all the audio album, you know, platforms and stuff like that. So,
amazing. We'll plug your socials here. So like, you know, follow Stolf. Make
Stolfi
sure
Comedy at Stolfi Comedy, baby. Not baby.
I don't know why I threw an A. I'm so sorry.
It's natural.
Miguel, what's up? People can hear you in the morning, but what else is going on?
Yeah, check me out on CBC Radio. I'm doing the mornings all summer. It's very fun. We play some great music, tell some great stories. I've also got a couple other things cooking that I can't really mention yet. They'll be coming. Just stay tuned to my socials, and I will be heavily over promoting them when they happen. And also I was recently in a Hallmark film called Take Me Back for Christmas, and it's quite charming and very Hallmarky, and you can see that at hallmark.com.
Amazing. take you back like in time? Oh, I guess
no.
that's
It's like a multiverse situation.
good. Happy to hear Christmas is going in that direction. You know,
That doesn't sound hallmarky at all. But I like it though.
Well, Maddie, what's up? What do the people need to know about us?
The same things as always. RaptorsRepublic.com if they want to follow us there and read all the articles that Raptors Republic produces. And we have our own website, dunkspodcast.com. If you caught what I put up on YouTube, go to the podcatchers, listen to the full episode, and give us a rating if you can. We would really appreciate that on the Rapcast. So, yeah, that's it, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Beauty. Maddie, if you feel like we're done and we're good to go, please just give me those words I love so much. Okay.
Listen to full episodes of the Confederacy of Dunks only on the Rapcast.